Hello, welcome. I'm Charles Aite. This afternoon, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper is indicating that Ghana's economy may collapse if government does not consider prudent measures to salvage the situation. According to him, based on the assessment of Bloomberg and Fitch, there is sufficient evidence to suggest that Ghana's economy is not in a fine shape. He says numerous tax charges on Ghanaians to rake in revenue is repressive. He believes Ghana should focus on its expenditure to sustain the revenue.
Number one, pull all the suggestions, including the debate in Parliament itself, because they often also consult and other things, and then stagger them. Some measures can be taken immediately. I don't know what compromise can be with the e-levy and the other. Remember, the benchmark is also hanging. The benchmark could have a bigger impact also. The decision on the benchmark, which is also may have been factored in the budget already. So. Then you take the immediate ones, and then those which can be, deferred, slightly into mid-year, and then. But as the professors indicated, and as we believe, and as our experience shows, we're in a situation where it will take more than one financial year or one budget year to resolve. So we need to start thinking also, and it's when you have gotten the essence of getting the short term under control is to convince the markets that you have a plan. Because remember, when you go to the markets, you're going for 10 years. So they're not looking at how you are managing today, but they are looking at what measures you are proposing, going forward before they commit their money to you. And some have committed money already, and which they are disposing of, which is why our yields or interest rates are going up. Whether a household, a business, or a country gets to the breaking point depends on taking measures to stem it. But the situation is difficult as it is now. I think it's quite clear, and I'm not the first or the last person to be saying it, particularly with respect to compensation and interest. And as we speak, there are strikes, ongoing strikes. There's demand for more higher, and we need to refinance, as the professor said. In order that we'll get some breathing space. So yes, it's a critical, situation.
So we're looking at a looming debt crisis, as the first speaker spoke about. It's as if nothing changes. We're looking at the worst case scenario, which is 95% debt to GDP ratio.
Yeah, that is. Remember, he said into 2025, but he said for this year about 80. Some have said 85, between 85, 88, and then if you don't take any measures, it means you are just carrying on, So yes, that's the trajectory.
Dr. Patrick Sumin, Senior Lecturer at the Finance Department of the University of Ghana Business School, joins us via Zoom. We're grateful, Doctor, you could join us. The Finance Minister, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper, is making this proposal. Shift your attention from revenue mobilization to expenditure. How do we balance this argument?
I think it has to be a combination of both. I'm not sure that we can simply say we are going to shift the attention to just expenditure. Because, as Theo was pointing out, if you look at our major expenditure items, we have compensation. I'm not sure what the government can do about that, because it's obliged to pay workers. And then we have interest payment. Our interest commitment, I'm not sure that we can do much to say we are not going to service our debts. So if he says that there's going to be expenditure cuts, most likely it's going to fall on capital expenditures, and that is going to impact the ability to grow the economy over the medium to long term. So I think it has to be a combination of both, and we have to pay a lot more attention to the revenue side.
All right.
And try to broaden the tax net as much as we can, just as we've spoken about several times.
Let's end with this, whole argument about fiscal responsibility. We've had this current administration commit so much to fiscal responsibility through the, promulgation of a specific act, with a 5% benchmark. Now we're having situations of a downturn. They've had to revise this particular cap. Where do we stand as a country when it comes to fiscal responsibility, and how best can we deal with the matter amidst ballooning debt crisis?
So we have to look at the Fiscal Responsibility Act as something that will generally work when we are in normal times, when we are not facing extraordinary situations. In the current circumstances that we find ourselves, so part of that due to COVID, but part of that also because we haven't taken some of the hard decisions we should have taken in the past. So you have to say, well, the government is right in saying that in the circumstances, the government probably needs to boost its expenditure, and therefore maybe we might have to put the cap, the 5% cap from the Fiscal Responsibility Act aside for now. What we have to question is whether whatever we've committed our expenditures to, that is going to bring us the long-term benefits that will ultimately ensure that in the medium term, when we are out of the COVID situation, our public finances, as well as the broader economy, is doing as well as it can. Ultimately, I think growing the economy and making sure that the economy is robust and resilient, I think that's what the most important thing is. So I think for now, maybe we shouldn't be putting too much premium on the fact that we are exceeding what is in the Fiscal Responsibility Act, but ensuring that whatever expenditures government has committed, they are being used as efficiently as possible, and they are also being committed in areas that we know that in the medium to long term, it will inure to the benefit of the economy. That means we're going to have a more stable growth and also have a sustained period of job creation. At the moment, I think we are not too sure whether all the amount we spent during the COVID, whether it has really generated these medium-term benefits for the economy.
Sure. Dr. Patrick Osumin, we're grateful that you could join us with the analysis, senior lecturer at the Finance Department of the University of Ghana Business School there.